So the E30 M3 recreation is back in the workshop. You can see how clear the actual paint finish is. See the reflection in the rear quarter panel. Same this side. The whole workshop is reflecting in the actual paint finish of the rear quarter. So as you can see, all the way along, the actual car is like brand new. So brand new paint work everywhere. All 3M under seal has been applied. So it's in the engine bay, it's gotten a little bit dirty on the way back from the painters, but we kept it dry completely, thank God. You see there's a little bit of dirt up here that needs to be wiped away. But yeah, so the E30 recreation is looking like a proper car again. After all the hard work, the amount of hours that have been put into this car is unreal. I'll just show you inside the wheel arch. So you can see all the way around the wheel arch is all brand new under sealer. Underneath the car itself, so it's the rear wheel arch. On the front wheel arch, we've actually undersealed all the way up the bulkhead. It wasn't like that before, so we've actually sealed it more than the factory sealant was applied, all the way around the turrets, all the way down the car. So I'll show you the inside of the floor of the car, which is, I would say, as nearly as good as the finish on the rear quarters, to be quite honest. The inside of the car, the paint has really done well. Covered every single area. All the brand new rear quarter panels have paint on the inside of them. All our seam sealer down the edge there, you can see. Going back round to the inside of the boot. The inside of the boot is now freshly painted inside and out, as well as the rear quarters and back panel. So you can see all the joints of the back panel to the boot floor all the way along there. Very nicely seam sealed, ground down, welded. So you can see the actual back panel itself. You actually see the front end of the BMW in the rear quarter. You can see how crystal clear the actual finish is in the paintwork, to be able to see that reflection. Now, this paintwork hasn't actually been polished at all. This is directly gun finish, so I am absolutely chuffed to bits with the finish that this the painter has supplied us with, as well as, you know, he's done everything in house. So he's fully blasted the actual car off. Underside, engine bay, boot lid, inside the floor of the car, and he's actually then epoxy primed it, we seam sealed it, we undersealed it, and then he's actually then painted the undersealer within the 6 hours of the cure time for it to be able to start to tack off. So BMW E30 recreation. I will now turn it up on its side so that you can see the underside of the car and see how clear every definition is. So here we are, the underside of the car. This is just showing all the brand new undersealer applied to the entire car. So I don't know if you remember, but we fitted internal carbon rear wheel arches. So that seam there is where the original metal one stops and the carbon one begins. You can hear how solid that actual inner tub is, along with this battery tray. So now it's sealed up, the two halves. This piece is steel, there. That's part of the bottom of the rear quarter. This piece is carbon fibre, so sounds as substantial as the steel. That has also been made to twice the thickness of the original steel part, so it is equal to the strength of the steel as well. That part is obviously absolutely spot on, along with the other carbon rear wheel arch. So you can see underside of the car, all the way down. The mounts we applied for the e36 twin rear diff hanger, they're on in place. So I'll work along the footwell of the passenger side of the car, all the way along to the inner wing, and then underneath the actual clutch panel and the bumper mount, e30 M3 bumper mount, down the front panel, again along the underside of the inner wing. Just come back a little bit so you can see footwell, the car, footwell of the passenger's rear, and then back to the fuel tank mount, rear inner arch. So as you can see, we've totally made the underside of this car look like brand new. We've blasted it back to full bare metal, actually epoxy primed it, which it wasn't in factory. So epoxy primer is basically, I would say, 95% waterproof. So this car has a waterproof primer on it, and then the underseal, the brand new underseal 3M has been applied, which is nigh on perfect, waterproof, better than the original undersealer which BMW applied on the car from factory. And then we had 6 hours to paint the 3M undersealer before the paint wouldn't have a wet on wet contact. So the painters painted the undersealer instantly after we applied it, so within half an hour. So you get half an hour grace for the remainders of the undersealer hardener and start to cure. So, and then you can then go ahead and apply the paint. So there was no, I repeat, no original undersealer left on this shell whatsoever. This shell is completely rust free, totally welded 100%. We've removed the rust issues which these cars suffer from, i.e. the rear wheel arches, outer panels and the rear pockets also have been fully removed rust wise. Brand new carbon fibre and metal parts replaced. So this car is now rust free 100%, brand new bare metal respray and brand new undersealer applied. We haven't gone over any original undersealer, we haven't blocked in any original damp. So the original undersealer itself would hold a type of moisture, and when you paint over that original sealer, what a lot of people do is they would remove the sealer in this area, weld that area up, and then just underseal this area and paint all the original undersealer as well as their new stuff. You're actually trapping in moisture when you do that. The original factory undersealer actually holds moisture, and because it holds moisture, when you paint it on top of it, so you paint the underside of your car, you're creating a rust problem which will come and bite you in the bum in about 3 years time. And you'll end up, after a full restoration like this, you'll end up with a car that will need welding again. So we're life-proofing this car for at least 10 years before this car should ever see any signs of surface rust. The next stage is to remove all the suspension parts out of their freshly bubble wrap powder coated finish bags and start to push in all the brand new ball joints, bushes, every single part brand new into the suspension components, and put the multicolored suspension components on this brand new underside white e30 M3 recreation. So yeah, we to round things up, we've future-proofed this car. made this car rust proof. We've removed the original under sealer, we haven't sealed any damp into the shell, and we've put an epoxy primer on which they didn't have from factory, so this car stands a better chance lasting longer than the original car did, which was 30 years. So this car has a long span of life ahead of it, providing the customer can drive well. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. This was just a short update. Very soon more videos to come with coloured components of the suspension being fitted to the shell. Alright, so within a week we will have brand new freshly painted components going on there, and also zinc plated nuts and bolts. This car will look like factory fresh once we're done. Thank you, subscribe, and yeah, follow the channel. Hope you enjoy the series of videos so far. This build is now going to become very interesting in the next month and a half.